So in this video, we're going to talk about how long it actually takes you to start making money in your agency. I'm going to give you some things to go and think about. If you are or aren't running your agency or you're thinking about it, this could be the video for you. I often get asked, how long before I make my first placement? And the simple answer is that most people won't like the answer. I usually say, how long is a piece of string? Yeah. And it's not a sense of, oh, it's going to take you months to do. You can, in theory, do it. I done it last week, 24 hours, I made a placement. Yeah. So it's not the case, and that's very rare. It doesn't really happen often. From client to candidate to interview to placement. It's very rare. I would say it happens maybe 1 in 1,000, 1 in 500 placements. So how long does it take you? Now, it all depends on what market you're operating in. Typically, if you're recruiting, I'll give you an example. If you're recruiting developers, yeah, the candidate reaching yourself to the last stage interview to the job offer will probably take you a certain amount of time. Yeah, there might be a coding test. There might be 2 interviews. So with the chief executive or the chief of technology or the HR person. So there's usually 3 stages. Typically that might take 2 weeks. When it's a holiday period, it might take even longer because people are, booking in schedules. So 2 weeks plus 1 to 3 months notice period and 30 days payment terms will lead you to have about 3 months before you start making your first placement. So if you are operating in tech or where there's notice periods or the interview process is longer, sure. How can you mitigate that? How can you lengthen that down or maybe cut it in half? Potentially finding candidates, and I love finding candidates that are not in work. Yeah, there is no notice period. If the person who you're recruiting for or the company has a need, potentially they can start them the next day. Yeah, especially if they've got a good solid HR person in terms of onboarding. Yeah, and they get all the documents, etc. So if you operate in a fast moving sector, when I say fast moving, there's a demand, they need people. I'll give you another example. I made a video on it. My first placement was literally 24 hours. The guy went for an interview and started working straight after the interview. Yeah. So it can be literally 24 hours to 3 months on a sort of, metric. Now it does depend on your sector. However, we operate on a 15 to 30 day payment term as well. So you can make your first placement very quickly, in fact, but it might take you time. There might be a notice period. I've worked with candidates and I haven't placed any candidates, but I've tried to place candidates that have had 6 months, even 8 months notice period as well with, what do we call it? Holiday pay, etc. as well. And, it's too difficult to actually do as a recruitment. It's not a viable business for us. If I can help someone out, I will, but I won't go down the route of recruiting for them. So simple answer is it doesn't take you too long to get paid. Now, how do you go about it? Yeah, the first stage, and you can join the Telegram group in the description. There's people in there sharing their stories about how they actually started billing within a week. Yeah, they made their first placement in a week. Some people it takes time. It also depends on how many hours you're dedicating to it. So in a nutshell, to sum up, there's not too much to talk about in this. It can take anywhere from 24 hours all the way up to 3 months to actually start making your placements and getting paid. Now, people might ask this question, how long does it take? Because they want to establish how long it takes to get money into the business. You can sort of decide how long it's going to take you by picking the right niche. High volume, quicker payment. Lower volume, higher salary, higher fees, but it takes longer. I always advise you must have a mix of all of the job titles. Fast placements all the way up to high in the end. So you have a nice balance. You're consistent. You can quantify your earnings in a business. It's very important, especially in a recruitment agency. You want to have good cash flow. You don't want to be making a placement in 3 months and suddenly have no placements after that for another 3 months. It's very hard to run a business like that if you don't have the cash flow coming in. So, number 1 is always pick your niche correctly. Hope you enjoyed the video and take care.